Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Moss, and we are back with some standard gameplay today. Today, we're going to run this hyper aggressive blue white soldiers deck through a best of three standard event. Now, the deck itself, it's easy enough to get. You're going to play cards like Thalia, try to disrupt your opponent. You're going to play cards like Protect the Negotiators, stop your opponent from dealing with your board of stuff. Play Cathar to take out opposing creatures. Play Muriel to hopefully stop any blue shenanigans from happening on your turn. Some other things to help you draw and protect your creatures. But overall, this deck is all in on beating your opponent down with as many soldiers as it can make as quick as it can. Now, on MTG Goldfish, this deck represents like maybe 13% of the standard metagame, and it's the second or third deck in the meta, and that's taking into account Grixis in all of its forms. And then you've got the Mardu control deck. So the fact that this is up there is definitely very telling of its power. Now, in the sideboard, you've got lay down arms, which we're running a fairly dense package of basics. One island just in case an opponent's running a Field of Ruin. And, it'll still let us cast all of our blue pip spells. Got a couple Cathar commandos to take down all of the artifacts in the format and to hopefully take down Fable of the Mirror Breaker if it ever comes down. Extra copies of Protect the Negotiators to stop any sweepers, to deal with any Wandering Emperors that might hit us. Zephyr Sentinel is a little bit of spice that I want to throw in the sideboard. I've seen some decks playing it in the main, but I think this has a much better place in the sideboard, helping you deal with opposing matchups with lots of removal. And then Winning Announcement as just this big threat that mid-range decks struggle to deal with. But that's everything. I'll see you guys in game number one. All right, and we are in match number one. All right, sweet. We're doing exactly what an aggro deck wants to do, and we're going to be on the play. Okay, hand's got a solid 1-2 curve. If we draw a land, 3 and 4, we're going to be incredible. So let's see. Is our opponent going to keep their 7? They are. All right, sweet. Let's start with a secluded courtyard on soldier, play our recruitment officer, and pass. Now, if there's any one thing that I love about this deck, it's the fact that it curves out so perfectly. And almost in every situation, it has something to do on every single turn. All right, opponent plays Xander's Lounge. They're a Grixis deck. Are they going to be control, mid-range, or are they going to try to do the Jim Davis artifact plan? Let's see. Play Thalia. Let's see what they got. All right, just land go. Probably means that they are holding up something like Cut Down to deal with one of our creatures. Let's just go ahead and play Siege Veteran. All right, let's grow Thalia a little bit and swing for 5. Okay, opponent plays their third land, goes for an expensive Bank Buster. We're just going to keep going in with the aggro beats. We'll grow all of our creatures outside of cut down range. All right, opponent's down to 2. Let's see what they can do. I don't think there's a way for them to get out of this right now. Opponent scoops it up. All right, time to sideboard. Now, I think in this matchup, what we're going to want to do, considering it's Grixis and we're going to be on the play, we're probably going to want something like Gavany Dawnguard and probably Zephyr Sentinel to not only help us protect our creatures, but to also just let us get some additional card advantage. Now, we didn't see them really do a whole lot that game, So let's go ahead, take out the Protect the Negotiators, because I think we can deal with just about everything their deck wants to do. Let's take out the Guardians of New Benalia, because if we're going to bring in Zephyr Sentinel, there's no need for us to put ourselves down on cards to protect it. And I think we can run it back like this. It's definitely tempting to bring in the wedding announcement in this matchup, but I feel like the way that we're going, if we're on the draw, it's better to sideboard the way that we have. And if we're on the play, bringing this in as something for them to have to answer is definitely huge for us. All right, so let's run it back. All right, so our opening hand is garbage. One land. If we had maybe had another land that was untapped, this could have been good, but with one instant mull. Okay, hand's a bit better. There's definitely a lot of tension between wanting to keep the Zephyr Sentinel, but I think we want to keep the Cathar here, so Sentinels to the bottom. And again, solid curve. If we draw a land in any of these 2 turns, there we go. Boom. All right, go Frontliner, go and probably play the plains and just leave up the mana. Or we'll play the island, leave up the mana, make them think that we have to protect the negotiators. Play resolute reinforcements on their end step, so let's go ahead and set a little end step stop. Opponent plays their 3rd land, doesn't do anything. They've only got 1 blue, so if they're going to use a make disappear, this is their time to do it. They don't do it though. Alright, sweet. Alright, we're going to go Courtyard on Soldier. Now, this is where it would be real tempting to just try and run out the Valiant Veteran, but I am almost certain that at this point we're running it into a Make Disappear. So we're just going to swing with the Frontliner and the reinforcements and the token and just throw that trigger somewhere. Opponent's done a whole lot of nothing so far. Alright, they play their 4th land and then pass. So, again, we're in this really weird spot. Alright, let's start by going Valiant Veteran and see what they do here. They don't do anything, which is surprising. Alright, we're going to swing for 7. Okay, opponent's thinking. They're thinking real hard. They're going to kill something. Now, this is a really good move. So, we're going to attempt to Zephyr Sentinel, shooting our Resolute Reinforcements back if it resolves. And if it does, then we'd get an extra token whenever we recast the reinforcements. But it's probably going to meet its end with a Make Disappear here. No, instead they're going to cut down the token. Okay, so they see what our game is here. They know exactly what we're trying to do. So we're only going to get in for 2. But now we have a flyer. And we have a flyer that's outside of cut down range. Brotherhood's End, though. It's definitely a magic card. Alright, so the move here, we gotta make them use their mana. Chances are, the way that they've got their mana open, they're sitting on a counterspell of some sort, so... Oh. Oh. So you're saying there's a chance? Until they have another Brotherhood's End. Instead, they got a Corpse Appraiser. Okay. So they take our frontliner. Kind of unfortunate, but it's good. They mill over some cards. So this is now the position that we wind up putting ourselves in. We could either play the Valiant Veteran out of the yard, get the counters across our board, swing in with the Siege Veteran, and do all of this as a nice combat trick, or we can play our Brutal Cathar and hope to get him that way. Ooh, opponent giving us the your go. Okay, let's start by doing the Cathar. And now they're going to take a little bit to respond too. It's very tempting to just hit them with the your go right back, but we're going to take the high road today. Okay, cool. So they casualty their threat. Probably means that they got something else in hand that's going to make this a nightmare for us, but swing in six. We got lethal on board if they decide to do anything else from here, so could be worse, all things considered. Oh no, invoke despair. We've still got lethal, but that does definitely set us back a little bit. Especially if they manage to draw another removal spell off of that make disappear. Here we go. The Infernal Grasp definitely hurts. So, I think we're just going to play Denick in this situation. Swing two. Now we've got a couple threats. We're not just all in on one creature. Again, we got options. Alright, let's go for the swing here. Alright, they cast Cut Down. We Valiant Veteran in response, and boom, lethal. Your go, opponent. Good games. See you guys in the next one. Alright, game number 2. And we're going to be on the play again. Okay, so this is the situation that this deck will also wind up in a good bit. Because it's so heavy on 2-drops, we wind up in situations where we're just kind of heavy on that curve. This hand's keepable, especially with the Thalia on 2, but it definitely doesn't feel great. We're going to go ahead and throw out some information that we're a Soldier's deck. Okay, opponent plays a Botanical Plaza. I can't tell if this is going to be some crazy budget deck nonsense or if it's actually going to be something legitimate. But opponent's sticking with that green-white theme. Thankfully, next turn we can actually play out 2 cards, hopefully start to put some additional pressure on the board. They're mulling over their hand. If they're the enchantments deck, they would definitely feel bad. Okay, Venom Connoisseur, an alliance card. Interesting. Okay, so trying to give all their stuff Death Touch. Well, let's start by Denick. Let's play Recruitment Officer. We're going to take a damage off of this Adhikar Waste, but realistically, having Denick on the field doesn't make that as big a problem. It will be interesting to see, though, how they try to get a bunch of creatures out at once. Maybe they're going to be a citizen deck. Maybe they've got some other spice going on that we're not really aware of right now. But still early. Oh, they're a Torrens deck. Okay. Thankfully, everything that we play will get through Torrens with no issue. And we're happy to take this attack from the Venom Connoisseur. But they hold back. So now we're in another unique position. I think the thing for us to do now is to just attack all. And we're left with the option of either Sky Strike or Resolute Reinforcements. Let's go ahead and cast the Sky Strike and kind of force them to either answer this, because if they're green-white, they're probably playing their own Brutal Cathar. They might be playing Miriel, especially because she can just poop out creatures. Instead, we get Darling of the Masses. Okay, so decline this trigger. And then I think what we're going to do is we're going to start by tapping everything except for Thalia and Sky Strike. Drawing a card, playing the Resolute, and we're just going to swing with the Sky Strike Officer. Now, this does tell us that we are playing against a Citizens deck. Why they're running Torrens in here beyond just, making those additional creatures is beyond us, but hey, it is what it is. Opponent's deck is really spicy, though, so I could see something like this working. Maybe go Naya, play Jetmir, start doing some crazy shenanigans by just flooding the board with creatures. Wouldn't be bad. Seems like it would be up my alley. Alright, play another Venom Connoisseur, play a Civil Servant. Okay, so that's one trigger. Alright, activate Sky Strike on their end step. All the Thalias definitely do not feel great for us. Let's just go ahead and tap all the tokens. Play another Sky Strike. And we're actually going to go ahead and tap all the Resolute Reinforcements because they're not putting a whole lot of pressure on us. Second Sky Strike Officer is pretty rad. And just going to go ahead and swing again in the air. Now we've got some extra pressure, which is pretty awesome. Thalia is going to be able to efficiently block their Venom Connoisseur. And opponents only got 2 cards in hand. They could pop this Botanical Plaza, but that's honestly just not going to be in their best interest at this point. But who knows? Alright, so opponent is potentially attacking. It wouldn't be the greatest for them to do so, but I get it if they did. Okay, so we're going to tap, tap, and tap. Yodian Frontliner and a Recruitment Officer. Okay. Now, we could just make a big swing and activate our Fortified Beachhead next turn, which would be probably the sweetest move. But I think we're just going to go ahead and swing with our Sky Strike Officers, make the 2 extra tokens, probably draw a bunch of cards on their end step, and activate Recruitment Officer if we don't dig into anything like a Valiant Veteran. But opponents in the tank, they're probably wondering why it is that we're not just swinging all, or why we didn't just go for the attack with the fortified beachhead. And the answer is settle the wreckage trauma. I know it's not there, but they probably have something. They could be hiding a wandering emperor back there. They could just be sitting on garbage. You never know. And they can always pop that at instant speed. But now we could basically just trade anything on our board for their entire board without question. Rumor Gatherer. Okay. So yeah, they're just trying to go wide and do all of the cool alliance things, which can't say that I hate that. But now they've definitely tapped out of any potential for drawing cards. Okay. So make a creature with their Darling of the Masses. Alright, they are starting to pop off a little bit. This is definitely a deck that wants to be hyper aggressive, and I really do feel like Jetmir takes this deck in a really crazy direction. It's also kind of surprising that we haven't seen a Gala Greeters out of the opponent. Being able to pump that more and more, kind of huge, and this deck seems like it would want something like that. Alright, they give themselves Death Touch and Lifelink. Cool. So block and block and block, block. Again, we have zero fear as to like what's gonna come for us. All right. Well, this opponent just happens to have a pump spell in hand. Okay, they've settled their blocks. Ooh, opponent was looking at their hand. Maybe they actually do have something. Some type of run over effect. Alright. See what you can do, opponent. Because otherwise, this Sky Strike officer is just going to activate, draw me an obscene amount of cards. In the next turn, we're going to run you over. See, if I was Krim in this scenario, I'd do the whole crowd surfing the Karn. But I'm going to hold back for now. But I definitely think opponents either going to do something or they're just going to run down their clock. Wow. That's it? Luxurious libation. Okay. Gain a little bit of life. Cool. I get that. Oh yeah, no, we're definitely just running this opponent over next turn. Harbin seals the deal. But we're going to make full use of all of our creatures. Cool. Opponent draws an extra card, but that's not going to matter when we are flying over him next turn. Alright, cool. Opponent gains 15. Gonna play name Soldier. Play soldier, play soldier, play soldier, and GG. Just a board of the thickness. All right. So, on to match number 2, sideboarding. All right. So, in this matchup, it's actually really hard for us to see what we really want to bring in. Something like Protect the Negotiators would seem fine. Honestly, considering that our opponent's kind of a creature-heavy deck, playing Laydown Arms on their threats, things like their big 4-drop, probably going to be good for us here. Combat Tricks, probably great. Honestly, just being bigger than them is going to be good enough for us. So, drop the Protect the Negotiators. Honestly, in this matchup, it's probably one of our weakest cards. Denick is a questionable cut. Cathar Commando's not great. Yodian Frontliner's not great. And let's just go ahead and cut another Yodian and that for a couple laydown arms. It definitely seems a little bit like overboarding here. But again, just getting rid of their big creature that we can't necessarily easily strike through, probably good for us. Our deck definitely wins the long game, though. Like, no way that it doesn't. Again, just like the last match. What? Okay, opponent's letting us go first. Interesting. Thanks, opponent. Mulligan into a much more keepable 6. Drop a frontliner. Go Beachhead. Reveal Recruitment Officer. And go. Blossoming Sands. Opponent is doing something over here. Alright, swing with Recruitment Officer. We're just going to go ahead and play Resolute Reinforcements on their end step. Go ahead and set a stop. Or not. Alright. If they're just going to play with 1 mana open, no real reason for us to not play this out. Great thing about Wedding Announcement here, not only will it give us an Anthem effect, but with the way that this matchup looks, with us just kind of aggressively swinging, like drawing that extra card, hoping to hit, land drops right now when it looks like we are in desperate need for it, pretty good. This is the situation that is not great for us. We're going to play Thalia. Yeah, it's going to make our Wedding Announcement cost more, but we've still got other means of drawing cards in this hand. Third tap land out of the opponent. I'm tempted to say that this is just like a starter deck. An opponent just wants to, have a good time and vibe. And I respect that, but this is not a deck that is meant to vibe. This deck just swings, hits, and gets out. So good luck, opponent, because we are coming in for 6. Next turn, we get to come in for 8. And this is, if we don't already start drawing some good cards. Valiant Veteran off the top seals the deal for him next turn. Alright, opponent's down to 10. Opponent has land number 4. Alright, opponent's really looking over their hand. Alright, there you've got a rumor gatherer and passing. Let's see what they decide to take out here. Obviously, blocking is the best for them in this scenario. Instead, they're just going to take 8. Opponent's just throwing in the towel here. They know what's up. But you know what? I respect them for running it out like this. You may have a crazy name, but Yeezy, we salute you today. Alright, opponents doing their thing. Again, deck idea is sweet. There's something to it. Alright, boom. Resolute reinforcements. Make our little guy. And go for the alpha for lethal. Throw the frontliner trigger somewhere. It would be impressive if they had some type of fog effect, but I don't think we actually have a fog besides like Fog of War in standard. I want to say that that's a 3-drop out of the newest set. Alright, Thalia gets in. Alright, GG's opponent. Okay, see you guys in the next one. Alright, match number 3. Okay, so we are going to be on the draw. But this hand's actually really good on the draw. We can respond to a threat, throw some more aggression, draw cards on 3, decent 1 into 2. Super keepable. Ah, it's mono blue. Okay. Let's see if they blind flip their Delver. Dang. Alright, sweet. Swinging in for 3 on turn 2. Definitely a beating, but like, what can you do? So Harbin's really good here. Valiant Veteran's really good. We're gonna Valiant Veteran try to bait out a counter spell. Yep. If they tap out for a creature, which if they're playing mono blue the right way, they're not. Okay. So they've got 5 cards in hand. Let's go ahead and play Harbin. Alright, they're gonna cast Consider. Chances are they've probably got Fading Hope in hand, which isn't great for us here. So if they bounce Harbin, that's fine. They're going to swing in. We immediately block. They might cast Shore Up, which is fine. We're taking a protection spell out of their hand, which is something we're completely okay with. They're looking over their hand, so I think they got it. Oh, they're gonna cast Slip out the back. Interesting. Okay, Fortified Beachhead, decline the trigger. Um, gonna cast Siege Veteran, put a counter on Harbin, unless they actually counter the veteran. Yep. Okay, so swinging here really isn't gonna do a whole lot for us. We could buy ourselves an extra turn if we block, but this might prompt our opponent to tap out for something. Alright, swing 5, knock us down to 7. They play Terror. Alright, so they've done it. They've tapped out. Let's take the Cathar, get rid of their creature. Let's play Valiant Veteran and swing here. And now we got some pressure on the opponent. They're going to have to keep back their... Interesting. We're actually going to go ahead and block with our Yodian frontliner. If they bounce our Cathar, it's fine. We're just going to replay it and target their Thalarian Terror and force them to block with the Delver. Okay, going for the Impulse. Now, shore up in this situation definitely wouldn't be great. Alright, let's see what we can do here. So, we've got the mana to... Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got the mana to Unearth Frontliner and Valiant Veteran. Good combo. Now, if we do so, we put significant pressure on the opponent. In fact, just this swing by itself, we've got lethal. Okay. So, if we play this, we're going to swing in for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We're going to let them have it, though. Yeah, Ward 2. So, we can play it. Take the Terror. Auto pay. Boom. Got lethal. Alright. So, our opponent has to figure out a way to deal with our board. And instead, all they do is play Haughty Djinn. I'm just going to go ahead and play Soldier. And swing. Okay, lethal. Alright, sweet. Game 2. Now, in this matchup, definitely being able to do combat tricks like this, really nice. Playing the counterspell game against the counterspell deck would be pretty rad, but already having Thalia definitely puts a hurting on this deck for real. We will drop our single Cathar commando, and honestly, Dennick's not doing a lot for us in this matchup. Yeah, it's cool to have a flyer on the backside, but not great. Having Yodi in frontliner for just early aggression that they have to deal with is solid. I think the move here is probably to drop the frontliner because as much as Dennick's not doing a whole lot, giving us clue tokens, helping us draw cards, it's carrying a lot of weight in this matchup. Okay, game number 2. All right, so opponent's obviously going to be on the play. The fact that we got a Thalia on 2 in this hand is incredible. They go Delver 1, we'll go Beachhead, reveal, and play. Now, if they blind flip their Delver here, that's good. They'll put a clock on us. Okay. So, let's see if they decide to do this trade. Now, after playing this matchup before from the other side of things, we know that they're bringing in more counter magic for this matchup. We really want to force them to do something on their turn, so I think what we want to do is we're going to force them to counter either a Zephyr Sentinel or a Resolute Reinforcement on their turn. Turning through their deck, it's fine. Definitely a problem. Okay, they play another Delver. Alright, let's play the Sentinel. Good. We made him have it. Alright, and we wound up in a perfect situation because now Thalia into another recruitment officer. We're going to tax the just ever-living crap out of their hand. A second flip Delver represents 7 damage on the ground, but all their counter spells cost 3 mana now. And we've got Iganjo, which can deal damage for 2. Let's play the Valiant Veteran. They're going to draw. This means that they can't counter anything in our hand. The best that they can do is get rid of our Thalia with a bounce spell. But now they can't swing out. All right. Yeah, let's just go ahead and do it now. Take out the big one. All right. Swinging for super lethal here. Opponents gotta just load up their board, but instead they concede. All right, on to the next one. All right, match number 4. All right, so we're on the draw again, but I mean, the fact that we took down mono blue on the draw, not too bad. Alright, so let's see how this goes. Well, at least we should be on the draw. Really depends on our opponent, but when do you not take being on the play? I've always heard people say that it's with 8 rack. That's like the only deck where you should take being on the draw, but even then, I used to play it. I was never about it. Um, okay, so this is a super reactive hand. Having 4 lands does mean that we could probably draw into just some straight heat, but the fact that it's going to take us 3 turns to do anything probably means that we're going to have to be on the back foot. So, mulligan that hand. Whoo, this hand is ugly. Mulligan again. Keepable. Alright, so as much as I don't want to do it, but the beach, it's really good. You know what? Risk it. We can probably draw a land off the top, and opponent's playing some white nonsense. Either they're playing soldiers or they're just playing white control. Or it's not white control at all. It is enchantments. Okay, soldier, play valiant veteran, swing. They'll probably take the block. Well, guess not. Opponent took it. Hallowed Haunting is definitely a card. Let's play Deserted Beach and swing. See if they block. If they do, we've got Iganjo to... Okay. Gonna go ahead and play Yodian Frontliner then. So, opponents really just holding back because they can at this point. Like, they're making a ton of blockers. And this is a deck that really does not play at instant speed. So they've got nothing to fear in terms of Muriel, besides it flooding the board, but they flood just as hard. And Wedding Announcement really hurts us too. Let's go Muriel. We're just gonna swing out and put that Yodian trigger on the Valiant Veteran. So double block, block, block. Wow, opponents trading their whole board. Okay, interesting. So next turn we definitely unearth the frontliner. They're gonna get back their Jukai Naturalist, but it's tapped. Play another Restoration. Now this is the thing, we can definitely push our advantage here. Wow, Touch the Spirit Realm just beats us in. Yeah, that does it. Game 2 against Naya Enchantments. Okay, so all those in without question. Wedding Announcement, not great. Dawn Guard, not great. Having this get rid of the thing that cheapens their stuff, probably good. What do we want to take out here? Protect the Negotiators. Muriel really just sucks. There's nothing that they're activating. And then we gotta make 2 more cuts. Guardian's not great, as we just saw, because Touch the Spirit Realm does nothing here. I could almost see bringing in a Zephyr Sentinel, actually. Because if they're running the Touch the Spirit Realm, chances are they're also running something like the Leyline Binding. Alright, so we're going to be on the play. Hand's better. Officer on 1, Thalia on 2, being able to eat a creature on 3 potentially. And opponent's mulliganing? Okay. Alright. So opponent is keeping their 6. Recruitment officer, go. The best thing that they could do on turn 1 would be to play the generous visitor, but not really something that we're super concerned about. Just going to swing 2 and pass. All the tap lands definitely make us feel good about this. Put the counter on Thalia, go. And opponent scoops it up real quick. Okay. So Thalia is a beating for him here. I think we're going to run it back as is just because this really isn't a bad position for us to be in. An opponent just had a very unlucky set of draws there. Okay, so officer on 1. Cathar Commando in this hand is super good. Flash, and it gets rid of an enchantment, so if they do manage to get a Hallowed Haunting, we can deal with it. Dennick's good, and they mold a 6. Alright, officer, go. Okay, considering that they didn't actually play anything on 2, we're just going to swing like this, play the Dennick out, make them think that they're okay to play something, like their Restoration, great. We're just going to go ahead and Cathar Commando and blow up their Iganjo and swing 4. So another Restoration. They're ramping themselves pretty hard. Um, Honestly, the Dennick being on the field is probably the best thing for us here because it stops them from looking at their graveyard. Let's go ahead and swing. We're going to hold back this Cathar Commando. Ooh, and we get to do the double play here of Cathar and Commando. Oh, and lay down arms. So I actually think we have close to lethal right now. Alright, we're going to eat the spirit. We're going to lay down arms the dog. We're going to put the counter on Siege Veteran. And we put him at 4. Again, Dennick being on the field means that they cannot target anything in their yard. And we can just blow up their Iganjo, or their Architect rather, on this turn. Oh. Well. We just win. Alright. GG's opponent. All right, we are 4-0. See you guys in the next one. All right, and we are in round number 5. Opponent gets to decide if they're going to be on the play, which they probably are. We have a nice 4-0 start. This is the make or break moment for us. All right, they're going to be on the play, and this hand is a mulligan. If two of these Thalias were just a land and some other spell, this hand would be a snap keep. This hand's slow, but I think we got to run with it. The question is, what do we want to put back? It's a real good question, actually. Um, I think what we want to do is we want to put back probably the Siege Veteran here. While being able to make extra artifacts is good, having Muriel does basically the same thing. Okay, opponent plays a Plaza of Heroes. Probably. Ooh, they're also playing a Soldiers deck. Okay. So they're probably going to play Thalia. Okay. I can respect what it is that they're doing. They play a Sky Strike and pass. We're going to play a Cathar, taking out their Sky Strike officer, cutting them off from drawing more cards, and make a pretty aggressive swing here. The mirror is a really good way to end this little run. So we'll take the 4 here. Hopefully they're a version that isn't playing the Protect the Negotiators in the main. Holding up the blue land right now definitely gives that vibe off. All right, let's start with the frontliner. Let's run out of Valiant Veteran. All right, the veteran sticks. Now the question is, do we want to actually run everything out? We could be running into a Zephyr here. So I think with that, we're just going to run out 4 damage at him. All right, opponent takes the 4. We're going to keep trading back and forth. They play a Cathar Commando. Cool. They play another Valiant Veteran. Ooh, that is not a great... that puts us in a real bad spot, actually. Oh, man, and Harbin for our opponent is good. So, I think what we have to do is... That's 9-14 coming at us. We gotta block something. We'll throw the Yodian frontliner there and just take 9. But we are on the back foot for sure. I think our opponent's got us here. Yeah, they've got us here because even with all of this, they can take it happily and they just swing for lethal in the air next turn. GG opponent. Plaza of Heroes is a real good card for this deck considering the number of legends. Okay, so what do we want to bring into this matchup? Cathar Commando is a good beater, but not great. Protect the Negotiators does help us take out some of their threats, some of the stuff that they could be doing, but so does Lay Down Arms. We've got the ability to cast Lay Down Arms where they do not. Wedding Announcement's a card that they only have about 4 answers for at best. Hmm. I really think in this instance we want to drop the Protect the Negotiators for the Wedding Announcements, and then we got to make 3 more cuts. I think we're just going to go with our normal plan of cutting some of the frontliners, and considering that they're not super creature heavy or super spell heavy, we're going to go ahead and drop a Thalia here. Thalia is good when they're playing a bunch of non-creatures, as is the standard for the format, but this deck definitely isn't doing a whole lot of that. Alright, we're going to be on the play. Hand's not great with this lay down arms, and this is definitely showing a major downside of the deck, but we're going to run with it. Play that, decline, go. Play, cast a Guardian, and pass. Alright, they reveal a Denick. Alright, we're going to play Beachhead, not reveal anything. Going to play a Wedding Announcement, and just make a creature. Again, the downside to lay down arms in this deck is if you're not running a bunch of planes, it's definitely going to hurt. And even when you've got all of the non-basics that you do, not seeing them early on and you have this in your hand really is not a good spot to be in. So we're just going to chump. We'll let them gain 3. And now we're in this position. Thalia into Recruitment Officer, and we're just going to swing. Alright. Again, we can chump. And now we get to see them potentially go for a Muriel of their own. Instead, they go for a Brutal Cathar. Alright, they take away our ability to chump block. Alright. Here, I think we're just going to take 4. No real reason to push our advantage. And again, this is the spot that we wind up in a good number of times. So we're going to go ahead and play the Guardian of New Benalia. At this point, we can block with it, and we'll just happily toss our lay down arms. Swing and enlist. And we're going to enlist our recruitment officer because we need to scry and find some lands. We're going to do it like this because seeing the plains is actually a really big pickup for us here, and is going to make us reconsider actually dropping the lay down arms. Chances are we'll probably drop the recruitment officer. Or not the recruitment officer, the resolute reinforcements. They play a valiant veteran. And a Thalia of their own. That pushes our lay down arms up to 3 mana. Ugh. Okay, we're in a pretty bad spot right now, all things considered. We're still going to drop the resolute reinforcements because if we draw a second white source, lay down arms is still crazy. Instead, we see another lay down arms. Okay, so swing and enlist and swing. All right, we're going to enlist our other recruitment officer, scry both of those to the bottom. Can we realistically let that happen? The answer is yes. Another brutal Cathar off the top is rough. Thankfully, we can get rid of the Denic next turn, which is pretty rad. Unfortunately, they're just gaining a ridiculous amount of life here. Okay, so do we want to do anything? I think the answer for us is no. Oh, man. Second Brutal Cathar on the field is so bad. Okay. Let's see what we can pull off the top, but I don't think we're actually coming out of this situation alive. Yeah. Opponent says good game because they know what's about to happen. Good game. GG. That ends our run. All right. We'll see you guys in the wrap up. So, overall, what do we think of the deck? Honestly, after going 4-1 in our standard event, the deck itself doesn't feel too bad. And outside of mono blue, this definitely feels like a deck that I would consider taking to a big event. Outside of, again, the numbers, the weakest card in the main board is probably Protect the Negotiators. The copies of it in the sideboard feel fine. And honestly, you probably only want the two copies in the sideboard. I definitely can see an argument for bringing in Zephyr Sentinels in its place. So maybe going up to two of those in the main and maybe running even two in the side to help kind of shore up some of these bad matchups might not be the worst spot for this deck. Having something to really help deal with the mirror is also another concern. Again, Laydown Arms is such a good card to really help with that matchup, but as we saw in our mirror match, not having a lot of basics, and even though we're running 8, we saw so many of our non-basics, it hurts us. So, that's a really good question to consider, but again, can't be upset with the results. So, we'll see you next time.